It's been better. I don't think Naya had a double ear infection yet. Turns out that fever was because we had a double ear infection. So we were on antibiotics, but she's doing a lot better now. But now we're back to sleeping through the night for the most part. But it was the main person giving her her nutrition. And that hit me like a semi truck. No matter how helpful my husband is, it just wasn't.
With Abel, the loneliness, it like lasted until I had Sequoia. It was like, it is so weird having to be able to go from all of that independence to so much selflessness. You're just in like an isolated bubble. You're very tired and sleep deprived. And so feel that heavy. You're going to be so much less anxious. That was a slap in the face for me.
People are always asking us if we're going to have the second one. And I do, but I still am like, I don't have independence now. We're not ready yet, clearly.
I love them so much. And so it is like so cute to see them become brother and sister. It's just adorable. I love it so much. Hi, welcome back to Two Moms, Too Much Coffee. We have Tempestt here, and we also have
Jhshell, hey guys.
Hey, how has the week been for you?
It's been better. I can't remember the last time we chatted. I think the last time we chatted, I don't think Naya had a double ear infection yet. So
She did not. She had a fever.
did not.
But
She had a fever. Turns out that fever was because we had a double ear infection. So we were on antibiotics, but she's doing a lot better now. But it makes sense of why she like was sleeping terribly and waking up so many times. But now we're back to sleeping through the night for the most part. I think she woke up like once last night. So we'll take it. So a lot better week. And we're clapping as of like today. She just started clapping. Super cute. So yeah, we're getting a little bit back to normal. I'm also starting to get in more of I think an understanding that my body is getting tired of breastfeeding because my supply is just dwindling. I pumped the earlier today and because Naya had a formula bottle and I pumped 2 or like 1 ounce on my left and then nothing on my right. And so then I like literally nothing, air came out. And then that was after 20
not
minutes.
air.
Air. It was literally like,
it's like,
if you guys can hear me. Yeah, it was very, very sad.
Dust coming out.
I don't know if you guys have seen Drumline, but when like he's bouncing on the drum and then it's like literally baby powder. Yeah, that was literally my right boob. Yeah, so then that was after 20 minutes pumping. So then I did another 10 minutes and I got 1 ounce out of that boob. So that was after 3.5 hours.
Oh, wow.
So my body, I think, is getting there, and I'm really sad. I'm like in the middle. I'm sad because it's not my decision. I really wanted to get to a year, and my body is forcing me out, and I want it to be my decision. I'm also feeling like I am getting tired of breastfeeding, so it's also like, okay, like, you know, a little bit of relief, but at the same time, I want to decide when I'm done. So we're going to keep pushing and see how much I can get, but we are probably going to be mostly formula. So, but yeah,
I actually would love to hear what our listeners have to say about that because it's always been my choice when I stopped, but I stopped way earlier.
Yeah.
So I think both times I stopped around 6 months. I think like 6 months I like stopped with breastfeeding boob to mouth, but I would stop completely I think by like 7-ish months. So I'm curious, listeners, when did you stop and did your body force you to stop the way that Jhshell seems to be, or is it like a gradual, like how did it work for everybody else? I'm very curious. I've seen where people are just like breastfeeding so long and then you're doing all the right things and then your body is just stopping. So I'm assuming you're not, a lone wolf here. So I'm just very curious.
Yeah, I'd love to hear more too. So please share.
Yes.
But how's your week going?
Week's good. Week is good. I mean, I feel like I'm in a constant like purgatory, which probably isn't a nice thing to say about my life, but every day is the same. So it's like it's all right. It's something we're going through right now where kids are on the schedule of sleep that works, which is nice. Like Sequoia go to bed at 7 every day. Abel goes to bed at 8 every day. Abel wakes up at 6-ish. Sequoia wakes up at 6:30-ish. And it kind of was just, rinse and repeat. So it's not too
Mm.
bad. Um, Abel just got done with his first soccer season.
What?
Um, yeah, and we laugh because Adam and I are not very athletic. I did cheerleading and I ran some track, but I guess I don't find, like, joy in athleticism. I do think I have the body for it, but I don't think I find the joy in it, and Adam's family just, like, never pushed him into it, so I think that that has a lot to do with why he never did anything, so we've never, like, really pushed sports besides the fact that we're
Yeah.
like, "Hey, you're gonna go run around with some friends," and that's kinda how we describe soccer. He's, like, one of the best ones out there. And I have no idea how. And, like, we're over here just like, "Go AWOL?" Question mark. Like, why? What's happening? But he made goals. Like, he's 2 years old on the under 4 league, so he's certainly not the youngest, and he's not the oldest, but he's out there just, along with everybody else, just going for it and shooting goals. So,
I
so
love
proud of
that.
him.
Go Able. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Soccer mom,
Yeah.
huh?
Exactly. I need to get my minivan.
Yeah, okay. I don't ever
Yeah.
see that happening, but alright.
Yeah, it's not for me, but hey, you never know. They might be, like, super fancy now. I have legitimately not looked at them.
I
So
hear, like I see them on TikTok, and I hear, like, the inside of them are amazing, but the outside just never matches, so I think sorry, I'm just it's not for me just because of that. Call me what you want, but I hear the insides are very, very nice, so you never
yeah,
know.
and I do think if we stop at 2, there's probably no reason to have a minivan,
Yeah,
so we'll see.
yeah. Oh, well, I'm glad. I'm
Yeah.
glad that he's enjoying soccer and he's good at it. It's a lot better
Yeah.
than being like, "I love soccer, mom," and you're like, "Why?"
Exactly. It's really nice that it's, like, in the warmish part of the year, so
Yeah,
it's not gonna be super cold if he ends up playing it. It's not like the winter, but
yeah,
unfortunately, it is an outside sport, which that sucks. But luckily, we live in, a climate change, so
yeah, yeah, that's
so it's gonna be warm forever. Yeah, today we're going to talk about the first 6 months and just kind of what we learned and we want to share our experiences, just kind of like a time capsule of our past 6 months. So yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yay, I'm excited. It's, past 6 months. I don't even remember what I did yesterday, but yeah, let's dig into it.
I mean, it's so true because I feel like the first 6 months with Abel, it's a blur. Like I could probably summarize it in a sentence because that's all I remember. So let's see. Hopefully we'll remember more than we think.
Yeah, I feel like
Um,
this is gonna
s
be one where we get off the call or the call off the recording, and we're gonna be like, "Dang, I should have said this. Oh, we should have said this," because we're gonna remember everything after. It's okay. We'll put it
Exactly.
in the comments.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about expectations versus reality of the past 6 months. So,
Mhm.
um, what did you expect to happen? Let's, look back at early birth, pre-birth, pregnancy. What did you expect the first 6 months to look like?
Yeah, so I was actually just talking about this to one of my friends, but it's so funny because people would tell me, like, after they had their child or, like, people are post or whatever, like, "Motherhood is so hard. Like, it is exhausting, and it's a lot of work, and it's the best thing, but the hardest thing," and I just obviously not being a mom, I just was like, "Why?" Like, I don't understand. Like, why is it so exhausting? Why is it so tired? Like, what is it about, like or people would talk about, like, newborn phase is, like, the worst phase, and I'm like, They're babies. I don't get how hard can they be?" Yeah. Expectation was that I would catch on very quickly. That was not reality, and I had even, like, one of my really good friends, she had, like, been asking me, like, how I was preparing, and I was like, "Oh, like, I'm getting this schedule together for me and Nick for, like, nighttime for, like, how we're gonna, wake up with the baby and who's gonna do what," and she, like she's very sweet, and she, like, did a little giggle and was like, "That's cute." And I'm like, "I don't understand. What do you mean that's cute?" And I had this expectation that we were gonna follow this schedule and, like, he was gonna do this and I was gonna do that, and that was just not it as much as I wanted to follow a schedule, it just didn't work out, and I was breastfeeding, and I also did not have that expectation that I truly would be the one getting up, and I know I had talked about this in a podcast before, and we got some unsolicited advice that like, "Oh, just pump," or just have them feed, which now that
Mm,
I'm a pumping mom too, I'm like, that wouldn't have worked either because I would have just woken up to pump at the same time. But anyway, I feel like I just didn't know how much, like, it was going to be me and, like,
mhm,
not really fall on me, but fall on me because I was the main person giving her her nutrition. So that was not the expectation at all, and that hit me like a semi truck of, like, how much it needed to be me no matter how helpful my husband is. He truly is so helpful, but holy shit, that was not it just wasn't. It was not I just thought we were, I don't know, different. I don't know. I don't know if anyone, and I'm interested to hear any of our listeners, like, what their experience was if you went in thinking the same thing, like, "Oh, me and my partner were gonna be different." I would love to hear if you had that same expectation because I certainly did and thought we would have this cute little schedule and it would go right, and girl didn't sleep, and she always wanted to be on my boob. So, just in general, I did not think that I would be as lonely the first 3 months as I felt,
mhm.
um, and so just, I don't know, just isolated, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I wasn't expecting that. Um, yeah, I don't know. What about you? Any, like, do
Yeah.
you feel, like, connected to that at all or just completely different experience for you with Abel or Sequoia?
Yeah, I'm gonna do most of this under the second mom, guys,
Mm,
but I do wanna answer your question that with Abel, the loneliness, it, like, lasted until I had Sequoia. It
mm,
was like it's just, like, such a weird feeling when you're, like, used to going to doing whatever you want and talking and everybody understanding and not and sleeping and then be able to, like, walk out the door and do whatever, like, it is so weird having to be able to go from all of that independence to so much selflessness that ends up you're just in like an isolated bubble because one, you can't go anywhere because you're trying to make sure your kid is healthy. And I know a lot of people don't follow that. I do, and I'm pretty sure you do. But I know a lot of people don't. So if you don't, then ignore this part or whatever. But I we didn't go anywhere. We don't do anything the first 2 months because if baby gets sick, you have to and with sick with a fever, they have to give a spinal tap. And so it's very scary. Like that's scary to have your kid get a spinal tap in order to figure out if the fever they have is meningitis or if it's just a cold, you
fever.
know.
Mhm.
And so that ends up where you're just very isolated, especially the first 2 months. And then on top of being isolated, you're very tired and sleep deprived. And so feel that heavy for sure. Not as much second time around because I was just kind of used to it, but I definitely felt it first time around. As for everything else expectation wise, I know first time around I was like in a ball of anxiety and I was telling myself like you're going to be so much less anxious, you're going to have people help you at night, you're definitely going to like ask for help. And you're most certainly not going to be doing everything, which is such a joke. That was a slap in the face for me, because now not only am I, like, anxious about my child, the time of year I gave birth was terrifying because it's cold and flu season, and my kid, my 2-year-old is now in daycare, bringing home flu B, bringing home norovirus, getting hit in the face and having to get stitches. Like, there was just so many reasons to go to the hospital for this kid. Um, and I have a newborn at the time, and so I was just really expecting to be less anxious, and I was nothing but more anxious about this little girl getting sick. Um, and so if I ever do have another kid, I am 100% not having a kid in January. I just won't be doing that. I'm gonna have kids in March. I think that's the best time You might be pregnant throughout the worst part of the years, but you have a kid in March, you're nothing but smooth sailing for at least 6 months of, like, low flu and cold and flu season. Um, but I also expected, like, to ask for help, and who am I asking? If my partner is now with the other kid, who am I asking? And then if now this kid is, luckily Sequoia is an excellent sleeper. I didn't expect that. But she's an excellent sleeper. So she was very easy to put down. She has still always been very easy to put down, but that she still woke up a lot during the night. And in order for us not to both be tired for when our oldest wakes up, I ends up being me going with Sequoia and my partner going with Abel. And so it was a rude awakening, I would say, um, to realize how split we would be in this second child phase. I have a friend who told me often, like, you and your partner, you guys really enjoy doing things together, so that's why it's so hard for you to, like, have this split life where I'm with one kid and they're with the other. And I still stand by, it's not that we were always together, now we're separate. It's that now you never get a break. You never have a minute to not be with the kid, and that part is hard. That is very hard for someone, like I just said, enjoyed my independence before babies, and now there is no independence unless you're at 8 o'clock at night once everybody's asleep until you have to go to bed at 10 and hope they don't wake up through the night. Which they don't, and I end up going to bed at 11 or 12 just to get a little bit of a break. So that is the reality of 2 kids, and I did not expect that whatsoever. I thought it would be much, much, much easier, um, and it's, like, such a weird uneasy. It's not necessarily that it's, like, hard work, it's just a lot of work. It's exhausting.
Yeah. I think about you often. I do. I really, really do. Because just like little moments where I'm like, I need to take a nap. And then so I asked Nick, like, can you take Naya? And I think, Tempest. She probably has to take one and then Adam or your partner has the other. I think
Mhm.
about you often and I honestly we're at the point where even more people are always asking us if we're gonna have a second one and I do, but I still am like, I don't have independence now. And like, is that gonna like tenfold? You know? So to answer everyone's questions, we're not ready yet, clearly. But yeah, I'm also someone that really enjoyed my independence and that's
Mhm.
that's a hard part, which I know we're gonna get into like and I guess we can just jump right in
Yeah.
is what would you say like the hardest part of the past 6 months have been? If you had to pick like 1 or 2, what would it be?
Um, okay, I'm gonna go with 1 being telling my firstborn no because I have my secondborn. That
Mm.
is so hard. Or being upset with him because he is being his developmentally appropriate age, but it's causing harm to my secondborn. It's just really hard because I'm like, you didn't ask for any of this, and the only reason you're getting in trouble is because your parents decided to have another kid, which I mean, I know that's, like, obviously giving him a lot of grace as a child, everybody has to go through it, but if he was an only child, he would never have had to go through it, we wouldn't be yelling at him for it, and so that is just one thing that it's a lot harder than I expected, but, he is great most of the time, but it is certainly it's something that I wasn't expecting to be so hard, and then secondly, just like kind of exactly what I just explained, the amount that I now don't see my partner, because in order to do that, we'd have to get childcare or in order to have a conversation. Like we try to have a conversation, and our oldest is just constantly making noise to try and get us to talk to him. He wants the attention. And so in order for us to like actually talk to each other, to like not be interrupted, it's after they both go to sleep. Like, it's just not happening during the day. And so that part is super hard too, because then we obviously we're creating this family to be together and we just don't get to be together right now. And that's hard without, asking for someone else to come and watch our children so we can just have a minute to talk to each other.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that in there you explain the way you said it, like, Abel being developmentally appropriate, like, the way he's playing, because I feel
Mhm.
like that's a really big point because I'm sure it can be really frustrating, but then it's like a reminder to yourself, like, this is how he's supposed to play right now. It's not his
Mhm.
fault. And it's probably still, like, in the back of your head, like, this is appropriate, but at the same time, it's hard across the board.
Yep.
So it's, like, I'm sure such a balance to just kind of, like you can't really discipline him for being like, age appropriate, but you also have to, like, teach him what is not appropriate with Sequoia.
Right.
So, yeah, that's I'm sure such a balance.
Yeah. What about you?
Um, I would say one of mine is living on, a 3-hour schedule with breastfeeding and pumping and never just, like, being able to just go, and I feel like, kind of going back what you said before, like, about independence, even just, like, the things when I have, like, my knee day, it's like I'm always I can't just be on the go, I have to bring my pump and, like, all of those things, and I'm on a schedule, and I need to match her feed so then everything is right, and the anxiety of a 3-hour schedule, but the anxiety also with like, my supply dipping and, like, how that has just consumed my constant brain all the time and how it's impacted just my daily life, like, work, I just want to maintain, like, my level of performance, and so for me to do that, it's just hard because 'cause I'm constantly, like, distracted of, like, when my next pump is, or, like, even going to work conferences, like, I'm missing things because 'cause I'm pumping, and I
Right.
didn't realize, like, how frustrating that would be, and how that would impact my life, like, "Oh, just throw on a pump," but it really is just more than that, and it's really anxiety inducing, to be quite honest.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I would say that, and I would say support. Me and Nick are very much like I mean, we have his family that's an hour and a half away, but that's not close enough to be like, "We wanna go get a couple drinks tonight." Like, can someone, you know?
Right.
So we don't have that, and I was very much like, "Oh, like, we'll be fine." Like, I'm only gonna trust certain people, which is how it is. But we don't it's very hard to not have that, and I envy people who have grandparents 5 minutes around the corner, or, like, that's
Mhm.
their childcare. Like, if my mom could be or Nick's mom could be Naya's main childcare, like, that's a dream because A, childcare is expensive, but also just, like, having those random things because it does impact, like, our intimacy, our relationship, everything like that, because we just don't have time for ourselves really, because we don't have support. It's just kind of like
Right.
us, and not to say we don't have support, because his family tries to do what they can, but everyone has their own lives and it's not their child, so I don't expect, that, but I
Mhm.
do envy those who have family right around the corner because we just don't have that. So
Yeah.
that's been really hard to kind of just we just learned and on our own and kind of just have been doing I mean, we've made a great team, but it's definitely made things a lot harder than what we probably would have expected it to be.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely say it takes a village, and
Mhm.
even if you have, virtual support or like, I'll definitely be there. It's just gonna take me an hour and a half to get there type support. It's not the same thing as like having a village where you're like, hey, I need to go, or hey, can you go X, Y, and
Mhm.
Z, whatever it is. Um, and they're not, right around the corner. Like that, it does make such a difference. Like there are multiple times that I have dropped my kids off at a friend's house that's in town, or my parents have driven up. They're like an hour away, but that have come help me when I needed it. And that is, it's super nice for sure. So I could imagine that it's so much if like you don't have that additional support where you don't feel like you're putting somebody out to come help you.
Yeah, exactly, and I didn't realize how abnormal we were until, like, a couple of my friends had been, like, Like, one of my friends was like, "We weren't alone with our daughter until she was probably, like, 6 months." Like, someone was always with us. And then another
Mhm.
friend, Monique, who was on our podcast, she had come and she was like, "We've had family, like, that have just rotated out for, like, the first, I think, probably, like, 4 months of her son's life." And me and
Mhm.
Nick were like, "Oh, I think we're, like, the outliers here." Like, what we're
Yeah,
doing is
you
normal.
definitely are, at least with even with
Yes.
us, like, I think my parents stayed with us with Abel for the first, like, 2 months,
Mm.
and then my sister has
Mhm.
been living in and out of our house since Sequoia's been born. So, like, we have always had, like, somebody else here to help, which is it
Mhm.
is a lot of help, but it's
Mhm.
really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So you guys are definitely an outlier. So
Yeah.
you're doing hey, you're basically proving that you're better than all of us because it's a lot of work and you're doing it by yourself.
Or, have postpartum anxiety, but it's fine. Um, but picking up the mood a little bit, what are your top couple joys from the past 6 months? Like, what's made you the happiest in this motherhood journey?
Yes. So, obviously, like I just said, second time mom. So, the biggest joys is always to see these 2 babies together. I love them so much, and so it is, like, so cute to see them become brother and sister, and how excited Abel gets when he sees Sequoia, and now Sequoia is getting into an age where she's excited to see him. And it's just adorable. I love it so much. But as in regards to, like, Sequoia specifically, my favorite thing has always been, like, developmentally, like, seeing what she does, learning how to use her little tiny hands and her feet, and learning how to stand up and, what happens if I drop this on the ground, or what happens if
Mhm.
I touch this ball or pull this plant? "Oh, that makes mom mad if I pull the plant. Let me try again." Like, things like that. I absolutely love it. It's like it's just so adorable to me. So those joys I think will happen every time for the first 6 months. They blossom so much during the first 6 months that it is just like every day is a new thing. And it makes you feel like there's like progress, which is
Mhm.
nice because it doesn't just feel like, okay, this is my same day over and over again.
Yeah. I'm right there with you on the development. Obviously, like, as a therapist, that's like I've been eyeballing that since day one. But specifically, like, after those first 3 months when they're kind of out of blob territory and, like, seeing them kind of like, grow into these personalities and just every week, I feel like she's doing something new, and it's just so amazing to see. Like, even today, she started clapping. You know how many times I've seen kids of mine that I've worked on clapping?
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Oh, that's very exciting." But then, like, today she started clapping, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." And it's like, I don't know, it's just different when it's your kid. But, like, development, like, a very specific development that I've been loving lately is her reaching for me. Like, she's been
Mhm.
recognizing us, obviously, for a bit, like, picking her up from childcare, she screams and squeals and crawls to the door, but now she's been, like, very purposeful, which, negative of this is she only wants me right now, but positive of this is that she's reaching, and so, like, that connection of, like, "You are my mom, you have been keeping me safe," and all of the, like, hard work that mom's been doing, it's paying off, and so, like, I don't know, it just feels like she knows that we are taking really good care of her, and so I feel like that's been just lately my biggest joy, but definitely just watching her grow and kind of just become this little silly personality. I always feel like we definitely had that moment, like, when she was born, where she, like, looked at me, and I've talked about that, but obviously, like, seeing her grow, we've just connected way more after the first 3 months where was very depressed. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'll say that for sure, and then just seeing my partner, seeing Nick, my husband, kind of grow into fatherhood and seeing him in a different, because we've seen each other through so many different phases of life, and so seeing him in this phase has probably been, like, my absolute favorite. Um, yeah, so I would say those for sure.
Yeah, that's, funny enough, just another aside from that, Adam being a now a girl dad, I am so interested to see how he parents differently because we've been like, we're not gonna do, gender stereotypes and blah blah blah. As we as millennials do. And he has I've already seen him be like so much like softer to her.
Mm,
And it's funny to see because we outwardly say things and then I think we're just like innately we're just, taught that like girls are so soft and you can't hurt them, blah blah blah. Because Abel at this age, when we were telling him no, they'd be so loud and he'd start crying because we're like, no, and he'd get scared and be like, what? And then we tell Sequoia no, and she's like, yeah, yes. And Adam doesn't even be like, he doesn't do anything. He's just like, ha ha ha. I'm like, uh-oh, she is going to walk all over you.
yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited to I mean, obviously I can wait. I don't want her to be a teenager tomorrow, but I'm excited to see how Nick is gonna do because yes, wrapped around the finger for sure.
Mhm.
So we'll see. Well, will our
Yeah.
podcast still be going by teenage? We'll let y'all know.
Right. You guys need to give us some ideas on what to talk about. That's what needs to happen. Oh.
Well, so that's hard stuff, some joys, and just expectations versus reality. So, like, in a nutshell, from all of that, what is a piece of advice that you would give a new mom now that you've two-time mom? What would be the biggest piece of advice or most important that you would want to share?
I think if you can make time for your partner, just doing anything sweet for them or being, something that they really like, or stealing a hug or a kiss here and there, I think that would go a long way in this early part of postpartum because it's really easy to get caught up in how tired you are and how, much these kids are taking from you at this moment and forget about your partner. So, even men need a hug and a kiss sometimes.
Yep.
Or
Yeah.
flowers. Who knows?
I was gonna say that or flowers.
Mhm.
I agree because it's really easy, I think, to get into like roommate phase where you're just kind of like going and you're on autopilot. It's already easy doing that like in marriage in general, but then adding kids in there when you're just trying to follow a routine. So I 100% agree. I also would say really taking time to focus on like your mental health. And if anything feels off to you, I know like we are going through so many hormone changes and it happens. And sometimes it's easy to just be like, oh, it's just the hormones, but it's just the hormones. And then it can be X, Y, and Z other things. So really taking the time and investing if it's, a psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever it is. I know for me, it took me a little bit to get into that because I was like, I just don't have time. And how do I even do it? And now I've been in therapy and I'm seeing a psychiatrist and all of that. And I would say I wish I would have done it sooner because it has been helping. And I just want all moms to feel like they can comfortably do that without judgment because those babies need you. And so you have to take care of yourself first. And don't forget to take care of yourself. So that would be mine.
Yeah. I think one of the things, if you do have a doula, asking them if they know
Mm,
some therapists to talk to would be helpful. But also, maybe even if you haven't had kids yet, find some therapists that you do like now before all the hormones are going all over the place. You don't have to like start going to them, but having a list when you're not exhausted to choose from, I think that would be beneficial too.
yeah, I like that. It's really good advice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all that we had planned for this first 6 months.
Thank you guys for listening. So please subscribe to our channel, share any of our posts, or even just comment. We love talking with you guys and just kind of hearing what your experiences are. So please continue talking with us, and we will see you next week.